Welcome to the Recipe Video Game Podcast. I am your host, The Red Knight. Now, it's absolutely crazy to me that in the last podcast, I was talking about Nintendo doing something like Fall Guys with the Mario IP. Do a multiplayer platforming experience, right? They should have been done this years ago. And this is an idea that I had way before Fall Guys. I mean, back when I was playing the multiplayer co-op experience in Sonic 2. I was saying Nintendo should do something like this. And of course, new Super Mario Brothers games, everyone wanted those to be online. They never were. Super Mario 3D World will come out on the Switch, not online. And then finally the port happened. And this is the closest we ever got to this actual idea of a big multiplayer Mario experience. And it is because 3D World being playable online is a full-featured single-player Mario game. That was also multiplayer, locally. Now online, that's a big deal in itself, right? But what Fall Guys is, it's something that's always going to drive interest because how many players can play it and how it's ever changing. So when I say I want something like Fall Guys from Nintendo, I literally mean a service style game utilizing the IP. Why not? You got Pac-Man right now. That's online. Tetris, that's online. And they got far more than just 4 players playing online. Because look, to be honest with you, what the genre is, the Battle Royale genre, is a ton of players playing together. 4 players, that's a squad. You know what I mean? So, yeah, to me, it's always been about Nintendo utilizing online in a big way. And they charge for it. They have, a lot of services now tied to online. I was like, yeah, it makes perfect sense for them to do something like Fall Guys because, I mean, look, it exists and it's making a ton of money. And I know Nintendo's never been one to want to be followers. But when you're the one who created the genre and multiplayer has been an aspect of this series since its inception, I mean, going back to the original Mario Bros, that was basically the beginning roots of Smash Brothers, 2 players. Super Mario Brothers / Duck Hunt, whichever one you had, 2 players. Every other Mario game that I can really think of, has a multiplayer aspect basically, except Mario 64. And even that they remedied when they put out the version on DS. But Galaxy had little 2-player modes in there. Sunshine's one that didn't actually have any multiplayer. But other than that, every single one that I can remember, and obviously I already talked about the new Super Mario Brothers series and 3D World actually getting online and all that. Like, it's been a thing. And with all that being said, that's what brings me to the very first headline of this 250th edition of the Recipe Video Game Podcast right now.
Activating headlines.
So today, out of nowhere, Nintendo decided to announce a brand new Kirby game called Kirby's Dream Buffet. Ain't it funny how leakers who always know everything supposedly didn't leak this? Weird how that works out, right? But anyway, it's coming this summer, which is crazy. It's so crazy that it's coming this summer because we just got Kirby in the Forgotten Land. And I'm wondering, was this something that they probably had planned to be just a mode within Kirby in the Forgotten Land? And then it probably grew into something that they were like, you know what, this could be a completely separate thing that, hopefully, I don't know if it's going to be free, but even if they do charge for it, hopefully it's not crazy and it's something that is free, maybe to Nintendo Switch Online expansion members. If that's the thing, awesome. Because I would rather this be a standalone experience than it be tied within Forgotten Land because it could get lost in it. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be behind the paywall that is $60, a lot more than something like Fall Guys, which you're going to hear me talk about a lot in comparison to this because, well, in the last podcast, like I was saying Nintendo has to do something like Fall Guys, and bam, just 3 days later, they announced something that's like Fall Guys, kind of, because, like I said, 4 players, that's a squad in a Battle Royale game. A Battle Royale game is a ton of players, just like the Tetris game does on the Switch, and the Pac-Man game does on the Switch, Fortnite, Warzone, I mean, name them, you know what I mean? Like, they're just massive multiplayer games with giant communities. But, yeah, looking at this game, the first thing I said to myself was like, well, yeah, that's kind of the Nintendo way, but I'm not really mad at it. You want to know why? Because in this sense, it works out. This game isn't going to be played on the Xbox Series X, on the PlayStation 5, or even the Xbox One, or PlayStation 4, X Pro, respectively, or PC. This is only going to be played on the Switch. And here's the truth. On the Nintendo Switch, Fall Guys doesn't play very well. And that's the same thing with Fortnite. And the only people who would argue that are people who never played those 2 games outside of the Nintendo Switch ecosystem, because I promise you, it's a completely different experience. It's not an opinion, that's just facts. So, what, Fall Guys is 64 players, right? And I was like, yeah, Nintendo should do a massive, multiplayer game like that in the future. In my mind, I'm thinking on their, future Super Nintendo Switch, a more powerful console, not a Pro, a more powerful next generation console. They'll be able to do it, right? But of course, there's going to be, the fact that Nintendo's going to Nintendo with certain things, and when it comes to online, they're never going to go with the giant budget and really a ton of. I guess, listen, man, I don't know. I mean, manpower, belief into the software, because that's what it takes to make something that's going to be everlasting and ever evolving. You got to have a team that's going to be dedicated the whole time to that thing, and that thing is going to be an online experience. When has Nintendo actually done something like that outside of the mobile space? And when I say mobile space, I don't mean their handhelds. I mean mobile phones. Outside of that space, they haven't really done that, kept up a game just consistently updating it and updating it and updating it. I mean, the closest thing to that would be Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where that game got updated and got added content in the form of stages, characters. Then it got re-released in the deluxe form, and we got the whole battle mode. And now, currently, we're waiting for brand new maps where we just got wave 1 of it, and there's already rumors of wave 2 coming right around the corner. So that's one game that accidentally became a service-like game for Nintendo, but the updates haven't been seamless and consistent. But here we are, though, even though they came sporadically, the updates, we're waiting for new tracks, and everything that I listed is true, that experience throughout the years has changed. But to do something like a Fall Guys consistent, I think that's a whole different strategy that I'm not sure Nintendo even would understand how to do currently right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a knock towards them. It's just the fact that they're always 1,000 years behind when it comes to online. And that's why I put a giant question mark when talking about the price point, because I'm like, it's not going to be free. If it was free, they would have already said that in the trailer, because they would know by now. And that would be a giant marketing aspect that they would want to, put to the forefront. So if it was going to be the case, yeah, I think it would have been there. So I think it's definitely going to be paid for. But anyway, I said everything I say just to say this, that Fall Guys on the Switch doesn't run very well, and this is going to run really good. And this game is being designed for the Switch from the bottom up. It ain't going to be playable on nothing else, and that is a good thing, in my opinion, because I'm going to be real. If I'm playing Fall Guys, I'm playing it on the Series S, I'm playing it on the Series X. I'm not trying to play it on the Switch, because it's a slideshow damn near, and this game is not going to be the case. You can see it in the trailer. It looks beautiful. I mean, the level looked like something straight out of Mario Galaxy, which I loved. It reminded me of the cake level in Galaxy and all that. So that was super cool. I mean, it's just crazy. This game is coming out summer. I know summer ends in September, but it doesn't matter. The fact is, it's coming out in a few weeks. It's crazy that they didn't already give it a date. I just hope it doesn't come out right on top of Splatoon, because that'll be the worst case scenario. Not for Splatoon. For this game, you know what I'm saying? It'll be the worst case scenario. But, yeah, power-ups. Let's talk about those, because the trailer showed off a few of those. And this being Kirby, it's only right that there's going to be power-ups. That's why, like, Kirby to me, or Mario, they were the perfect. I think Kirby even more so perfect, because Kirby's round. So you could really, and just, Kirby's already known for looking like other characters. So you could just throw IPs on this. If you went the Fall Guy Fortnite route, where he had, like, costumes, whatever Kirby is, pink puffball Kirby, with different costumes. You've seen Kirby as Bayonetta, you've seen Kirby as Link, you've seen Kirby as Ryu, name them, you've seen Kirby as the character, basically, thanks to Smash Bros. So Kirby could do that, even though Mario has power-ups. And that's why, in my mind, and Mario, being my favorite, I'm like, yo, they could have made a Mario platform, that's like, Fall Guys, but Kirby's really the best. Like, I want this to actually be good and expand into the future Fall Guys like experience that can even, topple that. Because look, personally, looking at this game, I'm like, this looks like a Nintendo made platformer. So no disrespect to Fall Guys, because I'm playing it currently and it's fun, but you ain't competing with that, like, in no world. So this is like the best of the best that you can possibly get. So I'm super excited for this game. Like, I already feel like this is something that I would want to put way more time into than Fall Guys. I say I would want to. That's not going to be the case, because I already know how this is likely gonna go. But we're gonna talk about that in a second. Let's talk about power-ups real quick, because we can't talk about Kirby without these power-ups. All right, they showed off a donut that basically the power-up is like the Goron from Majora's Mask, or I don't know, Dylan's Rolling Western. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's basically you rolling and you going super fast, and you could crash into your opponents, which is really cool. They showed a ice skating ice cream cone. That's what it looked like to me. It's pink, and I mean Kirby's pink, but there's other color Kirby's here. The one they showed in the trailer was pink, and it was just like ice skating. It reminded me a lot of Mario Galaxy, this game, which is crazy because everybody who played Forgotten Land was like, damn, HAL did a fantastic job with their first official 3D open world platformer. And I'm looking at this like, is this HAL? Or is this the 3D World Bowser's Fury team? And they're like, yeah, we've been doing other stuff before we jump right into Mario again. We got time. I'm like, wow, if that's the case, I don't know. But I didn't look at the bottom of the trailer to see whether it said HAL Laboratory or not. But yeah, the ice skating reminded me a lot of Galaxy. And yeah, that's just going to be a plus in my book, 1,000%. The other power-up was like, I don't know, it looked like Kit Kat, like a Kit Kat style cookie, but the ability was basically like a thwomp, where it just basically ground pounds but makes a giant tidal wave. Where, I mean, if you played a Nintendo platformer, you've seen bosses do this. They jump up, make tidal waves, you got to jump over them. I mean, if you play Forgotten Land, you definitely did that in that. So yeah, it's that ability basically, so people can do that to you and you got to dodge that. So there's the mechanic of competing, physically, where you're attacking with these abilities, your opponents, but then you're eating, these strawberries to get bigger, and just fatter and cuter, if you ask me. And, the fattest and I guess the fastest, because it is a race to the finish line, wins, because they put you on basically like, they put you on not digital, they on regular scales. But anyway, and the fattest one just breaks the scale, and that's the winner. The game looks great, and it depends on how many stages it's going to have, how it's going to be supported. That's the question. Now, let's talk about real quick why it is that I say, I would like to play this game more than Fall Guys, but I don't know if I will. And it's because how do we connect in this game? Can we easily just play with randoms? I would assume so. And that'll make the game endlessly replayable as long as Nintendo, I guess, endlessly releases maps for it. And it doesn't have to be, endless, obviously, but if they were consistent, like every quarter, they dropped a couple, new stages, that'll be something cool. I'm not saying make a battle pass or none of that. Like, would I want them to do that? Yeah, why not? Like, listen, Kirby, I just said it. Kirby's that character who can morph into anybody. It's right there. And that's been Kirby's thing since before all of these games was doing it. Kirby was the one utilizing other IPs. Let's keep it real. So Kirby doing this, not like, oh, Kirby's copying off this. No, not at all. They're all respectively, copying off each other, and that's fine. They're taking. It's not like copying makes it sound so, like little kid, like you're copying off me. No, it's inspiration, and it's good because the competition is only going to lead to, better experiences. So this being 4 players, I would wish that it's simple to just connect with your friends and just be able to actually send invites. Hopefully they use the invite feature that's there on the Switch. If I'm not mistaken, I got an invite the other day. I was playing Pac-Man, matter of fact. Or no, I'm lying. I was playing Mario Rabbids. I was playing some of the Donkey Kong side missions that was still left there. And I got an invite to play Fall Guys, actually. And I was like, oh shit, Fall Guys uses the actual invite system. Cool, that's the first time I've ever seen that pop up on my Switch. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully this game uses that and they make it a seamless experience for you to play with your friends. I think if they do that, then yeah, it's all good. Even especially if they added like lobbies where it was like a tournament where there could be a ton of players. Obviously the matches would still be 4 players, but the pool would just get smaller and smaller and smaller. So everybody plays with each other until the champion, like the Smash Brothers tournaments. Something like that. I think that's a great way to go about making it officially a Battle Royale game. Because in that, yeah, that's a Battle Royale game. It's just, the matches is 4 players within them, but you playing everybody, you know what I'm saying? So I think that would be a great way to go about it. They haven't shown too much, and they got plenty of time to do it. And that brings me around to another point I want to make. I'm all over the place, but I want to be clear about something, right? I said Nintendo would have won E3 if they would have went with everything that they've announced this year, and the fact that all the stuff that they got coming out this year, is absolutely crazy. And this is just another game to add to the list of like, yo, they have so many games to the point where they're like, nah, we're not even gonna bother doing a summer thing. Nah, let's just announce this on YouTube like this. Just throw it out there. Why not? And that's just to me incredible that we are in a timeline where Nintendo can do stuff like that, where they can move up Xenoblade's release date, and then the game get glowing reviews. People like, previews, and people talking about how it runs way better than the other one, and it's like, yo, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just crazy what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to me that Sony got first party games out this year. I know Microsoft, they got like very, very minuscule ones that are actually first party exclusive. But they got giant, fun DLC things coming out next week. For example, Forza is happening. Yeah, like God of War and Horizon, like, yo, that's cool. That's two games. You know what I'm saying? I know there might have been other little things in there. Nintendo's just been like, yo, we got Kirby, platformer, 3D platform, first one ever. That's a big deal. Big, giant, open world, Pokemon games coming out. Oh, yeah, and that's going to be 4 players, multiplayer and all that. Like, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, this year is an insane year. And I feel like a lot of people are too busy worrying about Switch Pluses and Pros, not even next generation Switches, Switch Pluses and Pros, and not actually looking at the fact that, like, yo, you know how much games we got to play right now? A lot of games. Like, it's so crazy. I still haven't even played the Fire Emblem demo, and I've been on my Switch playing stuff this week, and I completely forgot to download that, and I had to do that. So the new Fire Emblem Warriors game. So yeah, like, it's just been a ton of crazy announcements this year from Nintendo. So they could have definitely put on the best show this year if they wanted to. And if they did, if they put everything jam-packed into one show, yeah, it would have been the craziest show ever. Like, they could have threw in the little bit that we seen in Zelda and maybe like literally 4 seconds more. That would have been enough. People are, it got pushed back. But look at everything we're going to play this year. Like, for real, you covered all the way to Breath of the Wild come out right now. Don't even lie to yourself. Between Xenoblade and Pokemon alone, like, like Nintendo fans is 1,000% covered with those two. Those are insane games to have come out all in the same year. Was Arceus this year or last year? I don't know, man. It might have been this year. Yo, this is crazy. It's a lot of Pokemon games. It don't matter. It's just a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's absolutely a lot. But yeah, I'm excited for this game, man. I'm excited for Kirby. This name is crazy. Kirby's Dream Buffet. They got to throw the dream in there. And the fact that Kirby just grabs a fork and then shrinks, it's like, what? Why? Doesn't matter. It's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Who cares? It's just a fun idea. And once you see it, you're like, yo, it's cute. And then Kirby's glowy eyes looking at the cake, the reaction, you're like, yep, that's about right. That's the way I would have reacted if I was sitting in a, ton of cake like that. I guess the last thing I'll mention is the fact that the stages actually look like they're Fall Guy-like, where each obviously, I guess, would be a checkpoint, but they have different gimmicks. So, yeah, it looks absolutely crazy. The fact that not only are the stages like, oh, this is the theme to the stage, but you're going to get different ideas at each checkpoint. So, really making these stages and dropping them at a consistent rate and them actually being quality, I don't know if you could do that, like, as a monthly thing. That's why I said quarter, because I look at this and I say this is clearly made with a ton of love and everything. And even stuff like Fortnite and Fall Guys, they don't update that consistently either. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be crazy to be, oh yeah, every week we're gonna drop a new stage. I'm like, they're not gonna be fun more than likely. You know what I'm saying? Unless you got a mode where fans are creating levels, and then you're taking like the highest reviewed ones and making those like official and throwing them into the official like multiplayer mode. That'll be the only way I can see it actually happening with community help and input personally. Or you're gonna be just crunching developers to death, which wouldn't be cool at all. Now, I want to mention real quick, because I would have never even thought about it. When you start the levels, you got Master Hand there basically counting you down, which is something that goes back even before Smash. And that's why in my brain, I didn't even think about, like, what if Master Hand actually plays around with you in the stage, like, walk across the cake and kick you and stuff like that. You never know. They can easily implement that into later stages, more difficult stages, It's right there, man, and the graphics are really well done to it. So it's not like it's just a throwaway countdown clock. It looks like it can be utilized for far more. So that was a cool touch that I didn't even think about until Digital Green Tea mentioned it. He was like, "Oh, yo, look, it's cool that they got like master hand right there." And I was like, I looked at that, noticed it completely, but didn't even put the two together. I was just like, "Oh no, it's just counting down the hands." But then I saw his comment, and I'm like, "Yeah, now I kind of want the hands to be master hands, and I want them to mess around and just troll the player all the time. Why not?" So yeah, that's basically everything that you can take away from this actual Kirby Dream Buffet trailer, which doesn't have an official release date yet, but I'm sure we're going to get one soon enough. And when we do, it's going to be Kirby Food Fight time. That's what this is going to be. Score that Dream Buffet. It's going to be Food Fight City. Now, it's going to be real fun. It looks like it's going to be a good time. I love Kirby. Kirby games really, truly, almost never disappoint. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this a whole lot. Now, the ESA has announced that they will be back, and I'm not talking about just some digital event. No, they will be back with a full-blown E3 2023 experience at the Los Angeles Convention Center, and they announced that this time they're going to be partnering up with Reed Pop, producers of the major pop culture events out there like PAX and New York Comic Con. So, to me, this is a match made in heaven. And this is definitely the, like they put it, week of Titanic AAA reveals, earth-shaking world premieres, and exclusive access to future video games. Yeah, this is the event that we're all going to be looking forward to. This is the event where Nintendo's going to show up for sure. Microsoft is obviously going to do their thing like they always do. And we're going to have a convention floor, which is the most important thing. This year, Summer Games, they try to do their thing. Summer Games, for everybody try to do their thing, and some try to actually have little experience where developers and some industry folk can get hands-on with the games. But nothing compares to the convention center where people can buy tickets and people can actually mingle with developers, booth folks. So the booth people who know a little bit of detail, they probably see more of the demo that you're actually playing. They might slip up and tell you some stuff that wasn't really supposed to get out there, or they might just show you parts of the game that wasn't supposed to be shown off. They may be the ones playing it, but still, things like that happen on the actual convention floor with real moving parts where everything can't be so controlled. The experience is better. Getting so many hands-on previews from different folk, whether it's industry or just a regular consumer just talking about their experience on social media. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just better all around for us. And I love the fact that the convention floor basically demands demos, of these experiences that was shown off on the big stages. You don't want to go up there and be like, oh, look, these are the big things that we have. And then when you go to the convention floor, nothing is actually there playable. No, this demands some of that stuff be playable in some shape or form. It just changes the whole energy around what is, June, the summer of video game announcement season, basically. E3 is it. And it doesn't matter how many competitors there are out there, nothing is going to compare to the real deal. E3, to me, is a thing that should outlast any of, the new E3 replacements that popped up over the last 2 years, 3 years. Because, I say this because, well, they've been the consistent thing from the beginning of the time. I feel like these other shows, they should move to different times throughout the year. For example, Future Game Show that Games Radar puts on, they do those multiple times a year, so it doesn't really feel like they're trying to eat into E3 food so much as, Jeff Keighley show is, where it's like that's clearly a direct competitor. Immediately when this news came out that E3 was back in full swing, I think it was the Summer Games Fest account that basically posted something like, we'll be back next year too, big and better, hands-on events and things like that. But I'm like, you don't got a LA convention center. You don't got a big show floor. And the way I see it is like, the worst thing that can happen is that like Jeff Keighley's show gets announcements and like splits this event. So then it's like, oh yeah, that thing was shown in Jeff Keighley's show, but that since that was at Summer Games Fest, that has nothing to do with the LA Convention Center E3. So don't expect that game to be there playable. That'll be the worst, So that's where I'm like, I don't want there to be this competition because this is announcements. I don't really see, the scenario where having competition for news basically is is beneficial to us, because at the end of the day, we are going to consume it the same way. It's beneficial to them for their own clicks, but really, like I said, I prefer summer games just be something that's tied actually into the Game Awards. And I say that because the Game Awards really does something good where it's like, yeah, look, we celebrate video games here. We give awards to the coolest things of the year. But it's also a show where you're watching it for the world premieres. World premieres. This is the show where the Xbox Series X was revealed and Hellblade 2 was revealed. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we've had Zelda trailers there and everything. It's already a place where you go to expect announcements. It just makes sense to make it like, instead of Summer Games Fest, it'd be like Winter Games Fest. And right after the Game Awards, it's like, oh yeah, you know, tomorrow we're going to have a show where we're talking with the developers about these games, and people get their hands on the thing, you know, industry folks and stuff like that at this specific location. I think that would be way better, more beneficial to Jeff Keighley, in the sense that if a studio doesn't have something ready for June, they'd be like, we good, because we could always, I mean, this is what they do already, right? They go, we good for the summer. We don't got to worry about E3. We could just, you know, announce the thing at the Game Awards. That's the next big event, you know? And I'm not saying there's not other ones. Of course, there's Gamescom. Xbox does its own thing, like XO, you know, every other year, something like that. So, you know, there's other times to announce it. Obviously, Nintendo with their directs, and Sony got their direct style stuff. So there's always times to announce things. But when you want to have like an industry, you know, event that really brings all eyes to it, like a E3, you know, I think it'd be best to just separate yourself from E3 and say, yeah, we're going to come back with Summer Games Fest, with Winter Games Fest, you know, 2023, right after, you know, following the Game Awards and all the big world premieres that you're going to see over there. You know what I'm saying? It just makes sense. And even if something is shown at E3, they can just, at E3, literally be like, yeah, stay tuned for more details at, you know, the Game Awards. And you already know, like, that can be a new trailer and a gameplay demo that we see, like, you know, on a Summer Games Fest show floor, for example. So now we got videos of people playing it on YouTube. Like what you saw what they did with Street Fighter. Like, that was mad cool. Like, when we saw Street Fighter at the Sony State of Play, nobody expected to actually see anyone playing this game till next year. And it was like, oh no, it's playable. We're going to have it here and people can play it, you know, at Summer Games Fest and stuff like that. I thought that was mad cool. So, you know, there's a lot of scenarios where I see it being more beneficial to have not a competition, but just a different time. I think, listen, Jeff Keighley can own December. That could be his thing. And December is a beautiful time to see new games. I know a lot of people think, oh, it's the end of the year. Nobody's interested. People just spend mad money on video games. I'm like, but it's still the kickoff to the next year. Gamers don't care about that they just spent mad money on video games. They always want to know what's the next thing. We live in the information era where people want to know immediately what's next once they get something. So, yeah, December, you know, is the perfect time to tell people, hey, this is what you're going to be playing next year. And I mean, just take a look at my next headline. My next headline is the perfect example of this being the generation of what's next. Since the day the Nintendo Switch released, there's been people talking about the next console being revealed soon enough. Oh, details on the next console. Oh, the next Direct, we're going to see a new Switch, a new Switch, a new Switch, a new Switch. And it's just been literally that for people. And obviously, you know, that brings clicks, so people will do that all the time. But it just goes to show you that the clicks equal people who just got new hardware, are getting a ton of new games on this hardware, have a ton of games announced for the hardware, and they still more interested in what's next and this idea of a next stronger thing, you know? And it's crazy. It's really crazy when it's like 6-7 months into a console generation, and then it's even crazier when you look back at it now and you're 5 years removed from that time, and these people never stop doing that. It's been consistent. Oh yeah, new Switch, new Switch, new Switch. So this week was no different, right? Last week basically it was, oh, new Switch is gonna be revealed. Nintendo, you know, privated the previous Switch videos, and they did that the last time. So a new Switch is about to be revealed. Switch Pro, Switch Pro, and listen, y'all know I've always been like, I don't want a Switch Pro. It makes no sense to make a Switch Pro. The Switch is too weak to make a Pro console, and this is not me hating. Like, I play Fortnite on the Series X, and I started playing Fortnite on the Switch. Remember that. Going from Fortnite on the Series X to Fortnite on the Switch, I'm like, it exists on the Switch, but it's not the same game. Like, this is not the same experience. Like, you playing that on the Switch is 1,000,000,000% a hindrance on you. Not only is the experience lesser because the frame rate is lesser, but also draw distance are lesser. So when you're getting shot from a mile away from somebody playing on, capable hardware, you're going to be struggling. You know what I'm saying? And this is not exclusive to Fortnite, because this week I decided to play Fall Guys. So I said, yeah, I played a match on Xbox. I had fun with it. I said, let me play it on the Switch, since that's where I originally downloaded it anyway. And I kid you not. I kid you not. I'm going to put this in the most Nintendo way I could put it, right? So that everybody can understand me. Fall Guys, playing that on the Series X or a Series S, felt like legitimately like when you play Mario Odyssey and when you play Mario Galaxy, in that, it's just a platform you run around. I'm not saying the controls are the same like a Mario game. I'm just saying the experience matches, as in frame rate, as in when you moving around, right? It just matches a Mario game or New Super Lucky Tail, or just name a good high frame rate platform out there. There isn't many, so I just named a couple. But anyway, Psychonauts, something like that. When you look at it, it's like, all right, basic, regular stuff. And look, I just named the Wii game too, Mario Galaxy. Let's just be clear what I'm saying. All right? When I played Fall Guys on the Switch, it was literally like a storybook. Like, when you draw the drawing on the papers, then you flip through it and then it moves animation-wise, and it's just choppy. It was literally that. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, yeah, it's on this platform, but it's a game about platforming. And you got to run around. When the game is so choppy like this, it hurts the experience 1,000%. And then I went back to Xbox, and funny enough, the game when I went back, I literally won. And I posted that on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, yo, people out here talking about they want a Switch Pro. What can a Switch Pro do for these games? Like, legitimately. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want that. A Switch Pro wouldn't even be a Xbox One X. Listen to what I'm saying, a 1X. It wouldn't even be that. So why would you want that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what experiences are you expecting to get from that? Like, it's mad crazy. And it's 5 years removed. You want a pro console from Nintendo 5 years after their previous console? Are you crazy? It's time for a brand new Nintendo console. Period. They need more hardware to play with, because the developers deserve better hardware. Like, I hate when people want to be like, oh, you're just, being like, you just want graphics. No, that's not me. I'm not the person who's like, oh, all the graphics, but yo, your game's got to be able to run well. When I'm comparing these games to the way Mario Odyssey on the Switch runs like Fall Guys on Xbox, or Fortnite on Xbox, it looks like a game where it's like, yo, when I'm playing this on the Switch, I'm not thinking, limitations of the Switch. I'm thinking, wow. When you saw me reacting to Mario Rabbids, you know what I'm saying, Sparks of Hope, I'm like, yo, look at how good this game is. It looks amazing, mind-blowing. So it's not like I'm sitting here hating on the Switch. It's just the reality. Some of these games are being designed for these crazy-ass ideas on crazy-ass capable hardware. And then they're being shrunken and demolished on the way down and then put on the Switch. And people are like, nah, it's good enough. No, it's not. Like, there's a handheld right now in the market that's way better than the Switch. And I'm not saying it has a better library than the Switch. It does. It has a whole PC library. Let's be real. And you got people that playing Switch on it. I'm just saying, the way they do. Dolphin and all that stuff. But I'm just saying, if we take all that, side shit away and just say, the library it has, yeah, it's still bigger than the Switch, obviously. But you're not going to be playing, like, you ain't getting, Mario coming out on that, or, native versions. That's what I mean. But still, it's out there. It's real. It's right there. And I'm not saying Nintendo has to drop a $600 console. I promise you they won't be. You know what I'm saying? Nintendo got enough connections and enough ways to get prices down. But they definitely have to have something more capable for their own developers' sake. You know what I'm saying? So that they don't got to cut corners and struggle so much when the rest of the industry is so far ahead of Nintendo developers, whom Nintendo developers have. I personally feel, and it's probably because they're allowed to do the most wildest things out there, they have the craziest ideas in the industry. And then there's like a portion of gamers who swear that they aren't limited by not having capable power. Like, they aren't limited. Bro, the first day we ever heard about Breath of the Wild, it was a game with online co-op. Never forget that. At the end of the day, whether it was online co-op or some kind of online thing, the online never made it in. Why? Because of the hardware. It wasn't because the idea wasn't good. No, it was because of the hardware. That's the reason why. And it's happened time and time again, where it's like, yeah, they got to cut corners. They can't do this because of the hardware. And it's like, I've been tired of Nintendo having to play with weak hardware for mad long. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't like it in the Wii time, but I still like my Wii. You know what I mean? I still like the Wii U. But I never liked this idea, oh yeah, Nintendo got to make weaker hardware. Like, that shit made sense coming off of the GameCube because of how bad the GameCube sold. Some might say, oh yeah, that makes sense after the Wii U. I'm like, listen, not to me, because the GameCube sold that bad, and at the end of the day, they were all, they were all fine. And when I say all fine, nobody got fired off the back of that console. Everybody was fine. Why? Because they had a handheld that was still killing the market. Absolutely demolished, destroying everything. Like, the Game Boy Advance was still fire. You know what I'm saying? DS did what it did. Wii did what it did. Oh, yeah, but look, the Wii U flop. So, you know, they're smart for having weaker hardware. The Wii U being weak or strong, it didn't matter. It still hurt them. It was still mad expensive for no reason. Well, we know the reason. Game pads and stuff like that. And that, basically led to them losing way more money than what they would have. So whether it was capable or not, like super strong, it doesn't matter. It still failed because of the ideas behind it, the execution of its marketing, its stupid ass name. You know what I'm saying? That's why it failed. So again, it has nothing to do with hardware. Like, Nintendo, and during that time, you still had the DS, 3DS, still absolutely destroying everything on the market, top selling hardware. You know what I'm saying? So when do they lose? They really don't lose. So they got nothing to lose. And now, let's be real. I don't know what Nintendo war chest is right now. But I remember back when it was 10 million. I mean 10 billion. You hear me? 10 million. 10 billion. That's what they had to play with. To themselves. No, they didn't have to answer to nobody with that money. And then it went down to like 8. Right? And that was because the moves that they had to make in order to not fire people. And in order to get out of that hellhole that was the Wii U, basically. And into the Heaven's Gate that is the Nintendo Switch. And the Nintendo Switch is the most successful Nintendo console ever created. They've selling the most games they've ever sold, and they got money. I don't know what the war chest is now, but I promise you, they made that, $2 billion that they used up. Yeah, they recouped that. I'm sure, 100 times over, and yeah, they can definitely have capable hardware. But I say all this, right? I got all the way to this point to say, yeah, Nintendo needs to make hardware that's better for their developers, so that the games are even better. Like, do you understand what Monolith would have done with the tech that the Final Fantasy team got to play with? Like, everybody would want to be like, yo, Monolith, like, they're up there with the Final Fantasy team, you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying everybody said that because I say that too, right? Like, yo, when you think big RPGs now, it's like Monolith name is brought up instantly because of the Xenoblade series. Now, they did that with Xenoblade, the original game, being one of the ugliest games on the actual Wii. It was beautiful. It was big and expansive, but don't lie and say that game wasn't ugly. Character models was dreadful. I mean, don't compare that game to Prime. Compare that game to any other first-party games. It was ugly. And that's not me hating. It's just the truth, right? Xenoblade 2 obviously looked amazing on the Wii U. I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles, I was going to say 2. Xenoblade X, there you go. And then Xenoblade Chronicles 2 obviously had a crazy trash frame rate. Everybody talked about it, right? And this one, it's like, yeah, they're doing better with it. But I've already seen, like, videos of how they cut corners, like with, like, the grass disappearing, 2 feet ahead of you and stuff like that. And this is what I'm saying, like, their games still look fire. Like, watching that direct, I'm like, yo, game looks crazy. I'm going to talk about it more later, but it's like, imagine what they would do with the tech that the developers were making Final Fantasy VII right now with. And then how quick they develop games and all that. Like, I would love to see that. You know what I'm saying? And are we going to get that? I don't know. Are we going to get it with the next console? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But that's something that I definitely want to see. Same thing with the other team. I want to see them be able to do all of their ideas. Like, when I hear stuff like, oh, the Horizon Forbidden West team, was struggling to do flying in the first game because of the tech. And I'm like, that's on the PlayStation 4. And we dealing with something weaker than that. And then we're making a game in the sky and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how they're going to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's awesome that they do it. I don't know how they do it, but they do amazing, incredible things. But I just imagine, damn, so what would they do if they didn't have to do workarounds and this, that, trickery, this, that? I mean, they're always going to do that no matter what the tech is. But I'm just saying, what is the ceiling of their ideas with that much tech versus what it is now? I think the ceiling is way higher. if if that came out in a way that I thought it would. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense to you. Like, I just think them with that tech, whoa, crazy. But anyway, so people are like, yeah, Switch Pro, Switch Pro. Y'all know me. I've always been Super Nintendo Switch, be all, end all. And I've been saying Super Nintendo Switch, remember, since before the Switch actually hit, when I was making my, Super Nintendo Switch SP video of, like, how Nintendo could do a Pro and then, do a full console, like, which one should they do. But this was before the console launch when I'm talking about pros. I would never be talking about a pro console 5 years in. But everybody was doing that this week. And they were swearing that it was going to be a pro console. And, well, is it a pro? Oh, yeah, it's an absolute pro because it absolutely outclassed every other Nintendo Switch out there. But, yeah, Nintendo actually revealed a Splatoon 3 themed Nintendo Switch. And like I said, it's easily the champ. You know what I'm saying? Because it's beautiful. It has like this two-tone, like neonish looking Joy-Con where the colors like purple blends into the green, and we've never had that with Joy-Cons. Really nice Splatoon artwork all over it. But yeah, you would think that this would make them learn that lesson. Nope, they just moved the goalpost. Oh no, but it's still gonna happen. Yeah. A new Nintendo console will come out eventually. Like, yo, for real, I don't even want to be like the old man yelling at the clouds at these people who doing this for clicks consistently all year round, 24/7, 7 days a week. Like, but it's just like, there's nothing interesting about it. You know what I'm saying? About a thumbnail with a new Nintendo Switch, when it's like, yo, Xenoblade come out in a few days. Mario Rabbids a few months from now. Like, Splatoon a few months from now. Pokemon Scarlet Violet a few months from now. Like, and then if you go outside of Nintendo realm, there's just mad games too. And those games also apply to Nintendo consoles. And not all of those games are gonna run like Fallout or Fall Guys or Fortnite. It's actually gonna run, really well even on the Nintendo Switch. But man, like, it's just wild to me. It's wild to me because a Nintendo Direct is gonna come. I don't understand trying to like be like, oh, I predicted a Direct. Who gives a shit? They come around all year round, like every other week, basically. You know what I'm saying? It's a Direct for this, a Direct Mini, a Direct that, Direct it, Direct specific to this game, Direct. Like, yeah, there's going to be a Splatoon Direct sometime before it comes out in September. And before October, there'll probably be a Mario Rabbids one in conjunction with Ubisoft, to hype up that game. Yep. There will be in another Pokemon Direct. There'll probably be one of those too before Scarlet and Violet comes out. And then right after that, they'll probably do another one to announce the new Pokemon games for next year. Because you know how Pokemon Company do. And then around December time, Nintendo might be like, yo, it's about that time since, you know what? Let's just do a little Direct. Bam. Like, January. Like, it happens all the time. All the time. And people act like it's a big scoop. Like, yo, you guessed it. So? Like, what's so special about guessing that tomorrow the sun will shine and the day will be bright? And then eventually the sun won't shine and the day will be dark. And then guess what? The next day, the sun will shine again. Like, yeah, that happens every single day. Why would I sit out here screaming it from rooftops? Guess what, guys? Tomorrow the sun is going to rise. That makes no sense. We know. And we also know that there's going to be a new Nintendo console. But, yeah, the foolishness that happened last week and the embarrassment that was when it wasn't that, and just a reskin Switch, OLED edition. Yeah, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious to me. Because immediately when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that like, that ain't going to change not a goddamn thing. They're going to see that and they're going to be like, all right, let's just keep going. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, it wasn't there. It's going to be the next one. It's going to be the next one. Last year with the OLED, it was a Switch Pro, and it wasn't. And there was still people trying to act like, no, but trust me, under the hood, oh, look at the dock. The dock look different. It might be the power might be in the dock. Like, yo, for real? Y'all don't like these. Y'all must not like your console a lot. They'll be the first one mad at me because I'm saying, oh, yeah, yo, this game don't run well on the Switch, which is facts, right? And try to defend it, but then be the ones out here begging for hardware. I'm saying Nintendo definitely needs new hardware, and yet I'm not the one out here begging every day, yo, Nintendo make new hardware. Nintendo make new hardware. Do I want new hardware? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Because I would love to play Zelda on something that can actually run it at 60 frames per second. That'll be great. I would love Metroid Prime to continue its streak of being 60 frames per second, because a Metroid Prime game 30 frames per second would be goddamn abysmal, embarrassing, when the series was known for being 60 frames on the Wii and on the GameCube. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I want the next Mario game to be HDR. Why? Because HDR is one of the coolest things for video games. You must not experience it if you think otherwise. You like colors? Yeah, HDR makes those actually proper. Because the shit you seeing right now ain't proper. Trust me. Colors, they separate. And it's a beautiful thing when you see them doing what they supposed to do. That's what HDR does. Frame rates, I don't need to explain that. Because when you play a Mario game, you don't expect it to be 30 frames ever, right? They're always 60 frames. Exactly. So, like, don't act like you don't care about frame rate either. Yeah, can I play a Mario game at 30 frames per second? Absolutely. Do I want to? Hell no, because Galaxy wasn't. And I don't want to go back. I mentioned Galaxy because it's like, look how far, like, you want me to play something that's lesser than something from 2007. Like, you crazy? Like, absolutely nuts. But anyway, yeah, I say I don't think these people really like, their Switch like that, because they clamor for the next thing. But I don't really think it's that. I do think they like their Switch. I think it's always that. It's, oh yeah, Xenoblade came out. Oh, what's Monolith working on now? Like, remember we was thinking they was working on the Ganondorf game or something Zelda related? They still could be possibly doing that. But I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yo, the day that comes out, oh, Monolith next game after Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is gonna be, a Zelda game. Rumor has it. Like, for real, the game just came out and y'all doing this already. Like, it's wild. But anyway, a new Switch is coming out. Splatoon 3 edition, September 9th, 2022. And, no, I'm lying. That's when Splatoon comes out. It's coming out before that, on August 26th. So 2 weeks before Splatoon 3 comes out. Now, I'm wondering if they'll give people, like, a little early access on Splatoon, like a week early, Obviously, this thing isn't going to come with Splatoon at all. But maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll do a test fire, that week on the 26th, so people can play it, the week of the 26th, maybe that weekend, whatever that is. And be like, yeah, test fire this weekend, 2 weeks before, the game comes out on September 9th. That could be something cool. Play it on your new Nintendo Switch OLED. I think it's cool. Last year was Metroid in order to boost up the sales. Even, I say that, but, it was to boost the Metroid sales. Let's be real. But it was tied to the Switch. That was mad cool to me. All the advertisements were Switch-based. And Switch-based was Metroid-based, which I thought that was crazy. It was cool to see that. Because I still remember, Metroid Prime First Hunt being like a showpiece for the DS. And I like seeing Metroid games there at the launches of new hardware. Imagine them doing that for a Super Nintendo Switch. That would be great, if I say so myself. but for real though, like, I like that now this year, Splatoon. Splatoon they're actually going to use in order to actually, and this time it is Splatoon boosting up the Switch. Let's be clear. Splatoon is a 10 million seller every time. So yeah, I think it's a genius move. And again, it looks beautiful. I love the blue into purple on the left Joy-Con. And then you got the green into like the yellow, into like the teal, basically. I really like the way they went about this color, man. It's Splatoon, and they played with the colors. I think it's 100% appropriate. Like, when I saw this, I felt like trading in my Switch just to get one of those. I'm not, but I felt like it, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't have, even if it was a Pro. I wouldn't upgrade my Switch 5 years into a Pro console. I just suffer with the one that I got. You know what I'm saying? And wait until a next generation one comes out. And I say that, and even, the OLED, I say that as somebody who bought the DSi day one and then regretted it immediately because it wasn't like too soon after that the 3DS would be revealed. And my DSi looks, new, like perfect. I think the only game I played on that was probably Spirit Tracks and both the Zelda games, Phantom Hourglass. Like, I played those on there. I think that was it, really. And maybe some indie games that they had on it. Like, they had a couple indie games on there and the AR stuff that it came with. But yeah, buying like these stopgap hardware from Nintendo, I'm not really into, because I always believe that they're just that. They're the last push to get people who don't have the hardware to get it, and then also to get people who they know in their fan base who will just, automatically go for the new thing, upgrade their old thing to, spend some money on them before the new thing comes out. So yeah, I listen. I've been telling y'all this for, like, I feel like Zelda didn't get pushed back because Zelda needed time. Zelda got pushed back because the console needed time, because they needed to get their chips and all of that in order, and that's the reason why. I think personally, you know what I'm saying? I don't think Zelda will be thrown out at the end of a console generation. Like, whether they want to say it's the middle, this, whatever they want to say, I'm not going to say it's a lie, but I'm going to say they're factually wrong, because the market will decide that your shit ain't shit no more when it wants to. And right now, the Switch is the shit, right? And it's doing real good. And it'll be doing real good when Zelda comes out. But I promise you, for the Nintendo fan, that is the end. And they won't be buying much after that. They're going to move on. That's all that's going to happen. By 2025, nobody's going to be interested in buying games for the Switch. There's going to be a fever, from every single Nintendo fan begging for new hardware. Because the way they started with Zelda, they're going to feel like Zelda's the end. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Zelda should ever be an endpoint for a hardware, because it never works. Ever. Ever. Majora's Mask could have did way better had it been a launch title for the GameCube. But no, it was thrown out at the end of the life cycle of the 64. Could you imagine if the GameCube launched with Perfect Dark and Majora's Mask day one alongside Luigi's Mansion and Rogue Squadron? Man, that console would have been a hit. But nope, instead they just threw it out there because it's ready. Why not? They should have did the same thing that they did with Animal Planet and just not Animal Planet, Animal Crossing. Was it Animal Planet? It was called? No, it was a different name. I think it was Animal Planet. I kind of confused. It was Dinosaur Planet and Animal Planet, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, right? Dinosaur Planet was eventually turned into Star Fox Adventures, and the other would become Animal Crossing. But they waited on Animal Crossing, and then they put it on the GameCube. Like, why couldn't they do the same thing with Majora's Mask? But anyway, they did it again with Skyward Sword at the end of the Wii's life cycle, and that was the least selling 3D Zelda game. Why? Because it came out in 2011 when nobody cared no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, people was like, yo, we ready to move on. People going to be 2.5 years into their new consoles, and next year, all of the crazy heat is actually going to be finally rolling out. Like, well, for PlayStation, God of War will be out on PC this November, right? That was announced. But then next year, they're going to have Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be a giant game for them. And then Microsoft is just going to have an onslaught of releases. And where Nintendo is also, and again, Zelda's huge, why just throw it out there when you can use that to sell hardware? And look, I'm going deeper with this than I have to, but think about this real quick. Nintendo has plenty of games that can move hardware, right? You can say, oh, they can launch a 3D Mario game, but it's been there, done that, Mario at launch. Hell, we saw Mario at launch of the Wii U and how that went. I'm not saying that 3D Mario is equivalent to 2D, by this time, super played out, new Super Mario style, right? But again, that's a perfect example. You can say, oh yeah, they can have Mario Kart, and I'll go, yeah, and Mario Kart will be huge. But there's nothing that's going to bring in the hardcore who's going to spend money the next month, the next week, the next month, the next week, all the time. Like Zelda. Zelda's going to bring the hardcore, even the people who are like, yeah, I don't even care for the console. I'm just going to get it for this one thing. Yeah, one game. Zelda's that game. You don't just throw that out at the end of the Switch's life cycle when it's like, what is the benefit? Now, they could and just be like, listen, we've seen what the market is, and we could just re-release this shit again eventually, you know what I mean? Have it there day one at a higher frame rate. But it's like, for me, I'm going to be mad because, like, yeah, I already bought it, I already played it. Like, that's crazy. And it's like, I would want to play the best version of that game. So it's like, why launch it earlier? Like, because you would be launching the bad version earlier, basically. And then asking us to double dip for the good version. Versus it's just like, the other consoles, Twilight Princess, launch. It was like, yeah, you can get the GameCube one, or you could get the better running one, even though it was mirrored, which started the right-handed link, obviously. But you could get that one, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to get the new one with the controls and all of that, the new controls, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a giant time difference. No, it actually was for Twilight Princess, now to think about it, because did come out a little bit later for the GameCube actually. But anyway, like, yeah, I think Zelda should definitely be for new hardware, and new hardware should come, when there's a new Zelda game ready, basically. And I think to have a launch window with Zelda, Metroid, 3D Mario, because that is the launch window of the next year. It's Zelda, 3D Mario, and more than likely Metroid will be shown off again next year. It's like, yeah, that's the kind of shit that sells hardware. Why would you just do that for the Switch? And I know that the Switch is selling like crazy, but again, once people get that Zelda, it's gonna feel like that's the end. Like, that's just the way I feel. I feel like they're gonna be like, yo, yeah, we got a Xenoblade the first year, we got a Splatoon the first year, and we got Zelda the first year. You're getting Xenoblade, you're getting Splatoon, and then Zelda. Feels like the end. And this is coming from a Nintendo fan. Feels like it's time to move on. But I won't let that be the end. That will be my beginning. I'm not ending with Zelda. I'm beginning with Zelda. Period. Yeah, it's the end of the beginning. Like, you can choose to play this on your Switch, or you can play the way better, shinier version on your Super Nintendo Switch. And guess what everybody's gonna choose? But anyway, yeah, they were wrong. And and I guess, just restart the clock on them, predicting the inevitable. But now let's talk about the fact that TMNT, which wasn't here, wasn't mentioned at all. I'm guessing because it's just a digital game and they wasn't gonna count those digital sales. But it has sold over 1 million slices. That's the way I wrote it in the notes right there. But nah, it sold 1 million units already, which is crazy. And it's awesome to see it beat 'em up do that. See, there's different type of games out there now. TMNT, does that game got microtransactions? No. The developer on Twitter has went on record of saying that if it does well, it has, clearly, that they would probably add, wouldn't be, opposed to adding different skins, costumes. I would love that. I would love to be able to pick from any of the Turtle cartoons, not just the old, OG one, but go to the 2K one, to obviously, the CGI one, White Eyes when they go hard, to the new one, you know what I mean, that's getting a Netflix movie. I think they should start with that one because the movie's about to come out, you know what I'm saying? So it tying into that, and you got Casey Jones in there already. He's in the movie playing a big part. So it's like, yeah, do that skin. Why not? I haven't even watched a single second of that new Turtles cartoon. It's the first Turtles cartoon I never watched. You know what I mean? And it's because of just switching, through time, the cable situation and stuff like that. So I don't got to carry it with Nickelodeon. But, that's not an excuse because I'll be getting Paramount Plus and shit to watch Halo. And I currently have it right now. I can watch it. Maybe after the movie. I'm definitely going to watch the movie, and if I'm into that, like, heavy, I like the trailer a lot, then yeah, I'll definitely, give the actual cartoon a shot. So, yeah, Turtles doing what it's supposed to do, man. Doing what it's supposed to do. This game had a lot of hype, so I'm not surprised that it's 1 million sell already. It's across every platform. It's in Game Pass, which gives players a discount if they want to get it on that console. It's a game with a ton of replay value. The online is fun, even though it was shaky at launch. It's fun. Like, it's just, it's a good thing, and hopefully it's a sign of things to come. Like, not everything needs to be giant, big Arkham Knight. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can just do a 2D beat 'em up Batman game where you can play as Batman, Robin, Batgirl. You know what I'm saying? Batwoman. Like, throw like everybody in there. Red Hood. Throw all the different Drake, Robin. Throw everybody in there. You know what I'm saying? Have Alfred play, but I don't give a shit. Like, why not? Like, it's a 2D beat 'em up game where you beat the game with, Batman, Nightwing, or Batgirl. You just start unlocking other characters. So it's like you beat the game with, Batgirl, you unlock Batwoman. You beat the game with Nightwing, you unlock Robin. You know what I'm saying? And then if you beat the game with Robin, you just start unlocking different Robins. With each Robin you beat the game with, you unlock a different one. And it being multiplayer, people will run through it 1,000 times. That's the way it used to be. It wasn't microtransactions to get the characters. It was beat the game a ton of times and unlock shit as you go. You know what I'm saying? And I would love that. Like, I love the old Avengers game back in the day on Sega. Honestly, like, I still own that game. It was hilarious, but there was just things about it I love, like Hawkeye being on the goddamn ship that looked like one of the ships from Flash. Flash Gordon, not Flash from DC, man. Like, that game was mad fun. I love those superhero games. The X-Men game on Sega, where you had Nightcrawler in there and he could teleport. That's one of the things I mostly remember about that game. Awesome. Like, yo, do that. Do that. You know what I mean? Like, jump into the beat 'em up pool. There's players out there who still want to play this. And look, TMNT just got 1 million units because of that. And Streets of Rage was super popular. I think Streets of Rage also probably sold around 1 million, if not more. Beat 'em ups, man. There's a place for them. There's absolutely a place for everything in gaming. Like, I don't think no kind of genre should stop or whatever the case may be. Like, yeah, sometimes they fall off because maybe there's burnout on it, but there's always a time where you can bring it back. And I think when you do it right with multiplayer and things like that, the proper IP, yeah, you're gonna do numbers. Like Golden Axe, I don't know what Sega be thinking. They be like, oh no, we gotta do a big giant Golden Axe. No, you don't. You can just do regular Golden Axe. You seen all these lame ass Contra games? They make 3D Contra and it's super awful with like crazy bad visuals. And it's like, yo, you could have just did a sprite based game Contra and it would have been fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I never understand developers who be like, oh no, we didn't want to do the same old thing. We're gonna do something different. But it's like, did you play your thing and did you not feel that the thing that you was making was awful compared to the old thing? So why bother? Like, if you don't have the skill set to make a quality game in that specific genre you're making it. Like, I think you should be able to see that. From the outside looking in, from the inside looking out, you should be able to see it. You know what I mean? Like, personally. But yeah, I would love to see more 2D beat 'em up games. Happy for Ninja Turtles finding all its success. Speaking of success, let's talk about sexy ass Bayonetta 3 because we got a brand new trailer and it looked way better than the original trailer that we saw for this game. And I know that's expected, right? The game to look better closer to release. But that original trailer, I feel like, yeah, y'all could have held off on that. You know what I'm saying? Until the game basically was up to this quality because it clearly wasn't in that original showing. But yeah, this trailer, really damn cool. They really, try to show you, like, listen, we ain't cut no corners. Everybody's in here. Gene, Roden, Enzo, and Luca. And they even introduced a brand new witch, which, a lot of people are speculating it might be Bayonetta's kid. But her name is Viola. And she looks awesome. She has, like, white, purple hair. And you're going to actually be able to play with her, which is really cool. Yeah, the game looks awesome. Like, it looks really damn good. It looks like everything that you expect from a Bayonetta game. And there's multiple Bayonettas in there, which is really weird. I don't know what to think of it. I really don't care because Bayonetta is not something that I personally care to play for the story. The story is there, and you have a fun time with the craziness of it all. But really, it's about just, the fun fighting that you're doing, the different interactions, set pieces, and things like that. Now, actually, Nintendo's website revealed the game's file size, and it's 15 gigabytes if you care to know. To me, I don't care about game file sizes because I've played enough Nintendo games that are super small file sizes that take longer than giant games that are 100 gigs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So file sizes to me never been something that I've been interested in. But the fact that it's out there already, you know what I'm saying? It's good for you to know because, yeah, it's something where if you need to make space on your console, you can start doing that right now. Maybe you're going to pre-order this game, digitally. Well, they already let you know, a few weeks, a few months out from release. I say a few weeks, so let's be real, y'all. Let's be real. Everything that people hyping up in October, people acting like it's so far away. A few weeks. We're going to blink, and it's going to be September. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be playing Splatoon, and then that is going to make time go fast, and it's going to be October. And you're going to be playing there's too many games in October to say here and list them. And then November, obviously PlayStation fans are going to be going crazy with God of War. And Nintendo fans are going to be going crazy with Pokemon. Xbox players is going to be drowning in Game Pass and a ton of games. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the reality of it all. Because I'm one of them. I'm drowning right now. I'd be like, man, I don't know what to play. I've been trying to get through this damn Guardians, man. And it's just been like, no, not really. It's fine. It's just now at this point, it's just repetitive, I feel like. And it's just like, end already, man. And then I actually looked it up, which I never do. I looked up how many chapters are in Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think, if I remember correctly, it says 16. And I'm like, I think I'm on chapter 14 right now. God damn it. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to get through that and finish that. Yeah. It's not like it's a bad game. It's just, at this point, it's exhausting. And the fighting is kind of samey. All the scenarios are samey. It's just a long drawn out. It's mostly like these little fighting sections to get to story. That game to me just feels like the game is secondary to the actual narrative, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? Games don't gotta be either way. Just some people, like myself, prefer it one way or other. So this game might not be the greatest thing ever to some folk. Like, some folks are acting like it's the greatest Marvel game ever. I'm like, or superhero game ever. I'm like, no way. Like Arkham games, they know when to shut the hell up and let me play. And that's one of the most important things to me with video games is know when to shut up and let me play. That's even the thing with movies too. Some movies just don't know when to shut up. It's like sometimes it's good to just shut up. Shut up. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, back to Bayonetta. Back to Bayonetta. When we talk about action and all of that and comparing it to something like, Guardians of the Galaxy, this is a game where it's going to be far more action, far more gameplay than it is going to be storyline. So in that way, to me, this will be something that's far more enjoyable for me personally. Now, I was just mentioning October, and October is already crazy, but this game just adds to the absolute madness because which time is coming? October 28th, 2022. This game is finally coming out after the long wait. This game was announced, I think, at the same time with like Xenoblade 2, and Xenoblade 2 came out years ago, and 3 is going to come out months before, Bayonetta 3 comes out, and Bayonetta is finally coming out. But obviously, when we're talking about waits, nothing takes the crown like good old Metroid Prime 4. But that actually brings me to the next headline, which is Nintendo Pictures is coming. Yes, Dynamo Pictures has been purchased by Nintendo. If you don't know who Dynamo Pictures is, all you got to know is these are the guys who did the CGI for a little turd called Metroid Other M. The CGI though, oh no, the CGI was incredible. Seeing, the previous games play out in a cinematic quality, that whole ending of Super Metroid, seeing all the baby Metroids, Juju come on to Samus and then her do, the iconic blast in order to kill Mother Brain. That was amazing. Nintendo owns these guys now, and they're going to be renamed from Dynamo Pictures to Nintendo Pictures, and I think that's amazing. Let me tell you why. You got stuff like Metroid Prime, right, being developed, which is a super hyper-realistic game, and that's a game that can definitely use some CGI cutscenes, maybe at the beginning and just the end. Don't got to be all over the game, right, because I like my in-game, cinematics. Don't get it twisted. I love that. But when you say you own the guys who did the CGI for Other M, how can you not immediately be like, oh no, let's get them to work on Metroid Prime? I think that's a no-brainer. Obviously you do that. You know what I'm saying? Like they know how to make Samus look good in CGI. So why not have them work on that? But the other one to me, and this is bigger than Metroid, far bigger. There's a little movie coming out next April. A little movie called Super Mario Brothers. And that movie is going to be a CGI animated movie in a world where Mario, whether you're talking about Mario Rabbids, whether you're talking about Luigi's Mansion, whether you're talking about how amazingly animated he was in Mario Odyssey. Mario is going to be a CGI feature film. It only makes sense to bring CGI cutscenes now to mainline Mario games. You know that Mario game that Nintendo is definitely making? The sequel, the successor to Mario Odyssey? That game should definitely have Nintendo Pictures making CGI for it so that you can get the elements of like the movie into the game. I'm not saying get Chris Pratt to do the voice of Mario in the games. I'm not saying all that. But to have CGI in it, I think it's really cool and a great way to bridge the gap between film and video game. Again, a little cinematic at the beginning, a little cinematic at the end. I think most Nintendo games should have that. I think that should be Nintendo's Pictures' whole thing, is to put CGI in games that need it. If the developer wants it, why not? I would love their first task to be a giant CGI intro for Splatoon 3. Why not? That'll be great. CGI Splatoon is awesome. All the Smash trailers, awesome when they include Splatoon. Come on, the Smash symbol in it, legendary. So the topic I got here for you today is my favorite video game experiences of the last decade. To be clear, these aren't my favorite games. I mean, of course they are because they're my favorite experience, but this is not a list of my favorite games of the last decade. This is a kind of weird list of my favorite experiences. And I use the word experiences because this ties in the game, its genre, what it brings to it, and it's something that really didn't exist in the last decade, in the previous decade, let's just say that, before the one that I'm talking about, right? So, yeah, let's get to it. First one I'm gonna talk about is the Forza Horizon experience, which you can throw in stuff like the Crew 2. And you can say, oh yeah, but it kind of existed, in the previous decade with Burnout Paradise. Yeah, that's where it started. Absolutely. But the Crew 2 took what Burnout Paradise did and literally flew with that. Literally. And was in the ocean with that on the boat and everything. And that game actually got updated this week and is 80% off, and you can play right now on your console for free. Cool. Plug for that. But like Forza Horizon, this open world racing experience where you don't just click, oh, let me go to the next race, or let me click, circuit A, and then circuit A has 5 races. Now I'm in circuit B, and circuit B has 5 races. Circuit C, like, no, this isn't that. This is open world. You can have a ton of fun in the open world. You don't even need to do really races, and you can earn a bunch of points, unlock vehicles and stuff. You can just mess around. Whatever you want to do earns you points, So, yeah, that kind of experience, that open world experience, the open world racing genre of this last decade has been one of my favorites because really, like, I fell off of racing games because I just felt like they weren't really doing enough new. And that's why Burnout Paradise was like the last one that I really loved, And yeah, these new ones now, especially the Forza series, to say that I'm in love with the Forza Horizon series would be an understatement. I play it so much. I play it literally every day. I do a little bit of driving every day in Forza, and I can't wait for what? Not next week. Well, yeah, we one more week away. So not this upcoming Monday, the next Monday. Yeah, the Hot Wheels DLC is going to be out. And I've been doing all of the like events in order to unlock the Hot Wheels cars. I've gotten all of them so far. I'm looking forward to doing this week's. I'm getting myself ready for when that DLC comes out. I already got the DLC, but I'm just waiting, for it to actually release. And I'm trying to have all the damn goodies and stuff like that. So yeah, I love, that genre, if you want to call it one, because I think it is a different genre. You can say, oh, it's a racing game. It's a racing game, but it's different, right? Because it's not just the, realistic racing game simulator. No, it's an arcadey racing game, but it's open world. It's this crazy, co-op experience where a ton of the cars in the world are actually real people and stuff like that you can just instantly connect with and just have fun with and do a ton of stuff, not just race, but you can do like help tag, capture the flag, a lot of modes. They got a goddamn, battle royale mode in there and everything. So yeah, the Forza experience has been one of my favorites. And again, this is not in order, even though one might say, oh, Forza has been your favorite of the last decade. It really has been. But yeah, the next one I got here on my list is the Battle Royale experience. I cannot deny that I love the Battle Royale experience. And when it first started with PUBG, like, I didn't really know what it was. I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I was all right, cool. Like, PUBG, I see that's a popular thing people playing. Great, Fortnite came out, and then that's when I understood, oh, so it's just when people started calling, oh, the Battle Royale, John, that's when I started hearing that more, Battle Royale. And I'm like, oh, I understand what it is, because you call it Battle Royale, I know what that is. I watched the movie Battle Royale, back in the day. I mean, I'm the guy who was literally comparing Hunger Games. I'm like, oh, it's just Battle Royale, you know what I'm saying? But kind of worse. But Battle Royale, oh, it's just a bunch of people until the last man standing. I started playing it on the Switch with Fortnite, and I really did enjoy it, but the building in Fortnite turned me off. So I thought, yeah, it's a fun experience. It's cool. I could see why, people enjoy that, but I'm good. Then Apex Legends happened. The ping system, which is one of the coolest innovations added to video games, to be able to connect in a way that's similar to voice chat without using voice chat, just by pinging stuff, so I could pin the weapon. Hey, here's this pistol on the ground. Hey, here's this arm on the ground. Hey, there's an enemy over there. Hey, we should go over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that this one button can do multiple things, amazing. But yeah, Apex took it, and that one feature really made it like so incredible. And then obviously the gameplay was super fun in that game. Then Warzone came out, and Warzone took me completely away from Apex, and it was like, yo, it's Warzone all day, every day. And I think Warzone, is the most realistic, one of the most realistic video game experiences you could get out there that'll literally get your heart rate up. I think all the Battle Royale games do that. But Warzone is like really real because it's like just the way you move around that game is so smooth. The time to kill is so realistic. You know, you and your team, you could get in the helicopter, you could get in the plane, you could it's just so much you could do in that game, and it's super fun. And then they added like the plunder mode, which was not so much about killing, but who can earn the most money, in this allotted time, while also trying to kill people and steal their money. That became to me literally I don't even want to say 10 out of 10. I want to go high. I want to go 20 out of 10 because it literally became one of my favorite video game experiences. But then they changed the map, and the new map was kind of lame, so I kind of fell off of it. But then Fortnite added zero build mode, and I literally fell in love with this game for all the reasons that I did originally. And now this time, I don't got to run into somebody that I know I can for sure, beat in this altercation, let's just say. But since they could build, they win. You know what I mean? Like, now I run into people, and yeah, the outcome usually goes the way I assumed it would go. And I win matches all the time. Me and Dark Sun Rider was playing 2 nights ago, and we literally won 4 games in a row. I never did that. 4 games in a row. Crazy. Like, we were playing like a goddamn unit. It was amazing. And actually, before I started recording this, I went on and I played with a team, and I just got another W. And I was just like, man, I'm getting real good at this game. And it's true. I really have. Like, all the strategies, the mechanics, things like that. When it comes to no building, yeah, it's super fun, amazing. So, yeah, the Battle Royale genre is one that I never want to go away. I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that Forza has a Battle Royale mode. And I play that this week also. And I haven't played it in a while. And I was like, yo, let me just go play one of those because I haven't played it in a little while. Actually, the reason why I played it was one of the things you could do in order to get some points to get the Hot Wheels car. So yeah, I went back in. I was like, man, I used to play so much more on Forza Horizon 4, but it's like on 5, it's like I just got so much to do. So it's like, yeah, that's just a little side piece. But you can spend so much time in there. You can unlock and do so much just by playing that mode. So much fun. So yeah, Battle Royale games, something that came in the last decade, and I do not want it to ever go away. Instead, I want there to be more. I mean, we got Fall Guys now. That's a Battle Royale game. The Pac-Man game, I'm not gonna lie, this has been like quietly. If y'all see me when I pop on the Switch, or if you look on the Switch, like, oh, what's the last game Red played? You're gonna see it's that Pac-Man 99. Like, I'm really enjoying that game. I'm not gonna lie. I like playing that game. So I turn on my Switch every other day, and I try to get a couple matches in on that. I'm really feeling that game. It's like the perfect game to jump on and get a couple quick sessions in, and it plays really well. And I've always loved Pac-Man, even though I'm not the best at it. But yeah, I be coming in the top 5 and everything. I haven't won a game yet in that game, but I did come in the top 5 not too long ago. I want to say earlier this week I came in the top 5. Yeah, so Battle Royale games. Look, it expanded into OG genres and literally made games that I find addicting. You got Tetris 99. Those are Battle Royale games too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff. And listen, the concept of Battle Royale isn't new, but the way these are being done obviously is new. We didn't have the tech to do this kind of stuff, a decade ago or stuff like that. But yeah, you've always had like oh yeah, waves of enemies and stuff. Last man standing. That is the origins of the Battle Royale, but it's not the same. But it is kind of the same. It's man, it's the same, but it's different. You know what I mean? So yeah, number 3. Even though again these aren't in order. My next one is whatever you want to call Breath of the Wild, which I call it what it is, open air. But Breath of the Wild is that, that's just open world games. No, it's not. There was never a game like Breath of the Wild. There isn't a game like Breath of the Wild other than Breath of the Wild. And I don't even think the sequel will be like Breath of the Wild because I think it would just be better. But what Breath of the Wild did for open world games in the last decade, from the mechanics, from the fact that every 2 steps you had a shrine you could go to, which gave you just a hit of a dungeon puzzle, dungeon like mechanics, and it was spread all over a giant world that if you add all of those together, probably blow out every single dungeon in every Zelda game almost combined. You know, yeah, it's just an amazing experience from paragliding, from going up on the high space to look around, and the game being designed to have these pinpoint places that are telling you, "Hey, come here," without telling you. You know, the game only tells you once, "Hey, Link, I'm over here. Save me." That's it. And then, hey, go wherever you want to go. And it's not filled with a bunch of beacons and arrows and this and that and things glowing over here. No, if something glowing, it's a mountain. And you don't know why it's glowing. So when you go over there, you find out and you're like, ooh, this is amazing. Whoa, a horse that I can ride that, doesn't get tired. Amazing. So, yeah, Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild. That open air is just, I spent 400 hours in it. You hear me complain about RPGs at all. I put 50 hours and I just burnt out. And it's like, dude, you spent 400 hours with Breath of the Wild. Not only that, you started a whole new profile now and you going through it again. Yeah, I don't say it's my favorite game for no reason. But, yeah, what they did for open world games, I never cared too much for open world games like that. But I always knew Zelda wanted to be an open world game. And you will always hear about how, oh yeah, we want to, you to fall from the sky right down to the world and it to be a seamless transition. I don't know if it's going to be seamless transition. Maybe they wanted to do that, but then, well, technical reasons didn't allow them to. But in the next game, I don't know. We don't know that yet, but it's something that they always wanted to do, an open world game, right? And it's like, how do you make a Zelda game open? How do you make a game that's about rules and puzzles open? Well, innovate all the rules. For one, give the player a ton of rules right at the beginning. And that's your Sheikah Slate. And this is what you can do. And this is how you can manipulate the world. And then these rules all can bounce off of each other in order to create new rules and rules that we didn't even know existed, that people are still finding new things today. Yeah. Do you know what I mean now? Open air. So yeah, that's been one of my favorite experiences of the gen. And let's not act like Breath of the Wild isn't already, basically changing a lot of the ways these open world games are made, where they're trying to just get you right into the fun immediately. You know what I'm saying? Which is a beautiful thing. Hell, the runner-up for many folks' Game of the Year this year is heavily inspired by Breath of the Wild. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, next up, I'm going to say Splatoon. Some people are like, that's just a third-person shooter. No, it's not. No, it's not. You want to know why? Because for the last 25 years, right, since I've been, it's probably longer at this point, since I've been playing first-person shooters, right, I've wanted to be able to run left and right and backwards. And when I say left and right, I don't mean look to the left and then run. Look to the right and then run. No, I mean I'm looking forward, but I'm running to the left and I am running to the right. Because humans can do that. But in shooting games, no, you kind of move like you're on a grid. That's why I love the Wii Remote would have added to gaming, because it felt like it freed you up a lot more. But anyway, Splatoon was the first game that answered this issue that I have with shooting games for so long. Something that I've always felt like if I made a game, that's the innovation I'll bring to it. I want to be able to throw myself to the ground and jump back behind the wall. If I'm walking forward, I should be able to run backwards immediately, If somebody's in front of me, and take cover. That's not something that anybody could figure out. And I felt like that was the thing. Nobody could figure it out. How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, Nintendo figured it out. And they said, easy. In order to run in this game, you need ink. So once you're in there, left, right, backwards, you can run in every direction, mad fast. You can go up walls, everything. You could use that ink for strategy. This is not just a third-person shooter. It's an innovative game that plays like nothing else out there. Not only that, it actually has motion control, something that many games fail to do. You know what I'm saying? Well, Fortnite has motion controls, on every console but the Xbox, let's be clear. Such a great console. But if you talk about that controller, stuck in the past. It's true, though. Now, it does a lot of things forward thinking. Let's be clear, it does. But I like all the forward thinking things that the Xbox controller does, though. I feel like nobody really knows. Like, I use it, like double tapping the picture button in order to add, go to my night mode or hold in the button down in order to capture videos, one tap in order to take pictures, double tap your sync button in order to connect it to your phone without having to go through the whole process anymore. You can actually store two connections. So it's like double tap, now it's connected to my phone. Double tap, back to my Xbox. Like, a lot of people don't know those things. No other consoles really do stuff like that, but hey, the one feature we want, they ain't doing. So yeah, stuck in the past. Yeah, Splatoon, man, just adds so much creativity, to the third person shooter genre. And I love it. It's been my favorite third person shooter games of the last decade. Yes, those. Not Gears of War, not Uncharted, Splatoon. So, and I enjoy those single players too. I really do. And the second one, the expansion, the Anto expansion was incredible. So yeah, Splatoon, the experience that is, it's rare. Nothing exists like it. That's what I'm saying. Like, favorite experience of the last decade. 3D Mario Evolution. This is easy. There ain't no damn 3D platforms out there, really. I named one, Super Lucky Tail, earlier. You got Psychonauts, another great one. But really, that's where the goddamn conversation stops. It's just 3D Mario. But 3D Mario, the evolution, this is something that I was talking about literally a decade ago. You know what I'm saying? And I talked about how I wanted 3D Mario, 3D Starfinder Mario, right, to evolve from you collecting the star back and now going back in, having to see all these loading screens. Like, you collect the star, you back out the game, now you got to save it, you know what I'm saying? And then you go back into the stage, get the star, you back out, the game saves, then you go back in. Like, that shit was fine, and then eventually when you realize, like, yo, I play Mario games a lot, and this is now annoying to me. Like, it's really annoying. And then, like, Galaxy 1 still had that thing where you finish, you have to manually save. At least Galaxy 2, the one I can't get on my Switch, that one automatically saved once you backed out of, once you finished the actual stage, collected the star. But then you have to go back in. They added in the Galaxy games ways that it's like, yeah, I picked star, 1. But in there, while I was running around, I found a way that I can actually break from going from star 1, and I went and got star 3 or 4 or 5. Or you could get one of the other ones. They had little things like that where you could deviate from the thing you picked. And that's like where I'm like, this confirms even more that they can do a Mario game where you can just be in here collecting a set amount of stuff, and then when you're done, this world is completely complete. Back out, going to the next thing, a whole bunch of stuff. So I wanted to just it be a real collectathon, and not just collecting blue coins and junk, but just the stars, the main thing. And it finally happened with Odyssey, and I was so happy, and it's my favorite 3D Mario game now. Like, I really think about it all the time. I want to go back and play it again, you know what I'm saying, and really see, like, is it my favorite? Like, I should do a playthrough of Galaxy 2 and then Odyssey right after that. But hell, this conversation goes past Odyssey, and you see what happened with Bowser's Fury. I loved it even more there. I was wondering, man, could you do this with a regular Mario game without Cappy, without none of that, where you're capturing other characters, just Mario running around with his basic power-ups and amazing classic 3D World, Galaxy, Odyssey style platforming. And that's what Bowser's Fury was. It improved that it can do it. Amazing experience, one of the best pieces of DLC ever. And it's not DLC. It's, literally a expansion basically to a game that you have to buy full price. But you know what I mean. It is an add-on basically to that. And it's amazing. Completely amazing. So the evolution of 3D Mario has been literally, top 3 favorite experiences of the last decade. And another Mario evolution, I gotta talk about Mario Karts, because Mario Kart didn't play nothing like Mario Kart 8 or 7. Let's just be clear. Mario Kart, the evolution from being able to go underwater and that changing the mechanic of the gameplay, to then them adding gravity and that changing the mechanics of the gameplay, and the fact that now you're going to be in areas upside down. And honestly, that in itself changes a lot of the dynamic of how you're playing the game, because you just got to be focusing on different things. There's so many more moving parts, it feels like. And then you got the glider, you know what I'm saying, in there too. And you have the gliding aspects. So yeah, Mario Kart's evolution and the fact that that's been one of my most played games of the last decade, I have to give it its props because one, it's a kart game and there's a lot of them out there, and Mario Kart continues to not only shine above the rest, but clearly just be the best. Where the other ones just feel like really bad clones, and the word clones is usually used as a way to just say like you tried but failed when it comes to video games. You know what I mean? Like how many first person shooter games are out there, but nobody says, "Oh yeah, that's a Call of Duty clone, that's a Halo clone." If your game automatically gets labeled clone, it's always a negative thing. So it's like, yeah, there's a way better thing out there that you could play. You're literally playing this lame version of it. And when it comes to kart games, that's the way it be most of the time. And Mario Kart is just so far ahead. And I'm not talking about sales, because in sales it is also. I'm just talking about in its evolution for the genre. It's just so far ahead. It's not even I'm not gonna say it's not worth it for developers to try to make a card game. I just feel like it can't be a double A thing, and most card games are double A experiences or lesser than that. You know what I'm saying? And I hate going with this double A, triple A shit, but Mario Kart is clearly the triple A of that genre. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I love what they've done with it, and I can't wait to see how they evolve it. I think the reason they've taken so long, honestly, is because like, what else do you do? How do you top this? And it was like, so let's just make more tracks for now because we ain't got nothing. And if that is the case, I'm fine with that because it's honesty. You know what I'm saying? Like, they did a lot over the last decade for, Mario Kart. The next thing I could see them doing is throwing the double dash in there so that you can have that dynamic if you want. Maybe even have that as a other mode, where you got the regular cups and then you got double dash version cups where it's like co-op cups, and you can play that online. And when I say online, I literally mean two people on one cart. And so now y'all switching between playing and using items. That could be mad interesting, you know what I'm saying? But it's an old idea, and then some a lot of the times look at that and they go, "Oh, we did that already." But it's like, nah, you really haven't done it like this with the experiences that we have now, which is online and stuff like that. So yeah, Mario Kart Evolution has been great, and I'm real excited actually to see where it's gonna go. Because unlike everything else that I've mentioned so far, I'm happy with where they at, and I don't even think about where they're gonna go. But Mario Kart, this is one where it's like I think we're in for the next evolution of it. You know what I mean? And it makes sense, right? Because I'm talking about the last decade, and now we're in the new decade, and we haven't gotten a new Mario Kart in this decade, and we're gonna. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. When I say something, I mean special, special. So finally, last on my list, but not least, the evolution of Metroidvania. Because yeah, when all these indie games started because of these indie platforms existing, like Xbox Live Arcade and WiiWare and PlayStation Network started up and started doing this thing. When that all happened, the return of the Metroidvania style gameplay started because a lot of developers started going back into the well of smaller games like Super Nintendo powered level games and things like that, and Metroidvania came back, and now you got stuff like, we could start right at the queen, the goddess herself, Dread. Such an amazing, amazing Metroidvania game. Just amazing. Love this game so much. But then you got stuff like Guacamelee, stuff like SteamWorld Dig, stuff like Hollow Knight. There's so many Metroidvania games out there that are super cool now. So, yeah, Metroidvania, like that genre is literally evolving every day because there's somebody new adding something to it, a different take to it. Axiom Verge. Like I could sit here and just name games for days, but the point is, this genre, this old genre, has come back, right? In a way that is beneficial to the industry. Plus, us the players, we love this. I say beneficial to the industry because it's such a deep gameplay experience that's on a smaller scale, right? Because you don't have to make it a big, crazy, high budget game, but the experience is still deep because it's still an open world. It's still a place that you're exploring and you're backtracking and you're unlocking things in order to get deeper and deeper into it, right? Like it just, that idea it's been taken and it's like been like a sponge, like squeeze, and they just rinsing out all of this goodness out of it. And it's not like the sponge is gonna run dry. Nah, it just keeps on giving and giving and giving, right? Like, man, you can't squeeze the sponge until it's dry. Like, it just keeps going. Yeah, because they keep adding and piling on ideas. So it's not like they just sitting there and playing Super Metroid over and over. No, they know the rules of the genre, and now they're bending the genre and the game design into the will of the developers, into their own ideas. So you're seeing all these cool creative experiences coming out of this, little genre called Metroidvania. And that's been awesome. And that's going to do it for this topic, man. That's it. It's over. It's over. Just like this podcast. So shout out to each and every one of y'all who continue to support on Patreon. I appreciate y'all. If you're listening to this on YouTube, potentially, I don't know, because I mean, I'm posting some podcasts to YouTube, some I'm not. Not every podcast is gonna go to YouTube. Some are just too long to then render and then post to YouTube. That's why I didn't put the week before's last week's on there, because it was just like to render that and then upload it. I could have done the piece, but I was like, I don't want to give pieces no more. Like, I remember I used to do that on the old channel. I was like, if I'm not giving the full thing, I'm not really gonna do it. I don't know if this podcast is actually gonna go to YouTube, because it's kind of on the long side too. But yeah, that's why that's why the Patreon is there, man. So you can listen to the audio versions of these. You get the live versions that also be on YouTube. You get all of it, man. You miss nothing by being a patron, and that's why I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. I will be having a film and television podcast up soon. I don't want to say exactly when. I don't want to give a time frame, but soon enough. Like, I kind of got all the topics already decided, so I just basically got to record it. So, yeah, it'll be available. I want to say by the weekend, next weekend, if not before that. But, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed all of the real talk. And I'll see y'all again next week for another The Recipe video game podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Until the next one. Peace.